One of the best scripts I've ever read.
The freaking fridge died. My ice cream sandwiches are all melted.
It's unlike anything that's ever been made before.
It's sensational.
Our world is a tire fire floating on an ocean of piss. Oh, brother!
Throughout this video, you'll be visited by 3 Elvises: Outdoor Elvis, Couch Elvis, and Office Elvis.
Humbug.
Take it away, Office Elvis. Today, I'm joined by Couch Elvis to talk about the Netflix movie, The Electric State. Say hello, Couch Elvis.
Hello.
Other Elvis.
Couch Elvis will be watching the movie for the first time and providing commentary. Look at that goofy ass dude. I think it's fun sometimes giving you guys my instant reaction to a certain scene or whatever. Is he like the leader of the robots, Mr. Peanut? Let's talk about this amazing Netflix movie. So the Russo brothers obtained the rights to adapt a novel by Simon Stålenhag that was released in 2018. So they adapted this thing like immediately. The only thing that was adapted faster was the United Healthcare assassination.
There's not a whole lot of story in the graphic novel.
Yeah.
At least 4 offers from other studios, producers, and directors were made to claim the rights to this story. It seems like everybody was trying to adapt this thing. Universal Productions eventually won distribution rights in December 2020 and expanded the Russos' roles from producers to directors. The screenplay was penned by Stephen McFeely and Christopher Marcus, who have collaborated with the Russos several times before on 2 Captain America films and the 2 Avenger films, all of which were critically acclaimed and beloved by fans, by the way.
I just sent it to Steve and Joe and Anthony and said, this looks like a movie, but I don't know what it's about. The what it's about has taken, about 7 years after that.
It was reported in June 2022 that Universal no longer intended to give the massively budgeted film a theatrical release and that it would instead find its home on Netflix. So yeah, Joe and Anthony Russo, 2 guys who have made Hollywood billions of dollars. So it's no surprise that the executives love these guys. If they want to attach their names to a project, they're gonna get big money to make it. These guys made the best movies in the MCU, so you have to hand it to them. They can make a pretty good superhero flick, but more recently, their films have been fairly lackluster. From their movie Cherry, where they stuck a camera in Tom Holland's so that was weird, to the incredibly formulaic and forgettable action movie The Gray Man, and now this. If Electric State is anything to go by, we might need to fear for Avengers Doomsday. I mean, its cast is already gigantic. It's gonna be kind of crazy to see what they do with it. And a lot of people aren't a huge fan of the whole RDJ casting for Doom, mainly because, he's Iron Man.
What?
So it's just weird, and I totally get that. Anyway, The Electric State was originally a dystopian science fiction graphic novel written by Simon Stålenhag. The book follows a girl who travels with a robot in search of her long-lost brother. There are some pretty stark differences between the book and the movie. Now, I know it's a bit overdone to say, the book is better than the movie, but in this case, it most certainly is. It's a graphic novel, and there's some really cool artwork in this. In fact, like 25% of the storytelling in this book is through pictures alone, and they put this little Netflix thing here, a little badge of dishonor. It says a Netflix film. When they put stickers on books that have movie adaptations, doesn't it usually say now a major motion picture or something? In this case, it's just there's a Netflix movie about this. A Netflix film, that's all it says. I guess my dog chose the right corner to chew up. All right, quick plot breakdown time. In a nutshell, humans created these sentient robots to work for them. Obviously, doing this will introduce a myriad of problems, which other better movies and games have tackled before, but this movie just kind of ignores those. There's humans made these robot slaves that can think for themselves. It's not a problem, whatever. So the robots or drones got sick of working for people nonstop. Obviously, they rebelled and a war broke out. Who could have saw this coming? So this stereotypical evil corporation named Center created human-controlled drones to help win the war. After the war, all of the robots were banished to an exclusion zone, but one day a rogue robot shows up at Michelle's house and claims to be Michelle's brother. And when I say claims, it just kind of points at a picture and Michelle connects the dots. So then Michelle and this robot go on a journey for answers. The movie is all about robots fighting for their equal rights, but for some reason, it doesn't examine what it must be like being a robot in this world run by humans. Robots are sentient beings in this universe, and they live side by side with their creators. That's kind of weird, right? But at no point does a robot sit and question that. There's no soul searching like in other much better movies like this, like Blade Runner, for example, or Artificial Intelligence.
One of the best scripts I've ever read.
There are so so many big stars in this movie that are completely wasted. I didn't even know Woody Harrelson was in this movie until I looked it up on IMDb. He plays the illustrious Mr. Peanut. Just look at this fellow. He looks very nice.
It's nuts.
There's a lot of recognizable actors in this movie. We got Chris Pratt, Millie Bobby Brown, Woody Harrelson, Ke Huy Quan, Alan Tudyk, Stanley Tucci, Giancarlo Esposito, Jason Alexander, Anthony Mackie. It's pretty crazy how confident Netflix was that this movie would be successful. Also, Alan Tudyk voices Cosmo.
Better hurry. There's trouble on the moon.
But you'd never know it was him.
My taint remains unchanged.
Could be a sign of good acting, but at the same time, it's like, the robot says barely anything in the movie, so I'm not sure why they spent so much money on this role, you know? Like, fucking have me do it. I can do some beeps and boops, dude.
There's trouble on the moon.
It's a pretty dark book with descriptions of people's heads being blown off. People are dragged into the street and shot. The character Ed is eaten alive by birds while he has the Neurocaster on. The only sense of levity the book gives the reader is the sort of like cartoonish looking appearance of the drones and the cartoons that people draw on these massive robots. The world that Simon Stalin had created is extremely depressing and it's kind of creepy. There are these huge groups of people wearing these Neurocasters and they wander around like cyberpunk zombies. Some of them attach themselves to these like gigantic drones that walk around with them. And you're not entirely sure like what they're doing or why they're doing this. They're just kind of like existing in their, you know, whatever they're doing in their Neurocasters. So the story takes place in 1997.
Madeline Vance sits down with the visionary and rather handsome founder of Center Technologies.
Oh my God, it's Steve Jobs!
You famously never owned robots, did you?
I never trusted them.
More like Jeff Bezos. How come all these billionaire dudes look the same? You know what I mean?
For years, they never complained about working around the clock.
Okay, this is very heavily Fallout coded. You cannot tell me that these robots aren't like straight out of Fallout. There's a deep fake of President Clinton in all its abominable glory.
Mr. Peanut signed the Treaty of Surrender with President Clinton and Center CEO Ethan Skate.
Wait,
on the White House
what?
lawn.
Mr. Peanut signed... This image here is so stupid. Is he like the leader of the robots, Mr. Peanut?
Kid Rock threw a party celebrating the defeat of the Robot Equality Coalition.
This movie's amazing already. Apparently Kid Rock threw a concert celebrating the defeat of the Robot Coalition. Dude, that tracks. That tracks. That's actually what would happen. Bah with the bottom bang. Everybody wears these gigantic, unrealistic headsets. There's this generic evil corporation called Center. They're the ones that created these ridiculous headsets. They're called Neurocasters. And for some reason, everybody uses these things.
I'll meet you in Module 3C. Post-war robot internment.
What kind of funding are these schools getting where they can afford that many headsets for all the students? Wow, they must be very cheap. If this was realistic, they could afford like maybe 2 headsets for the entire student body. These Neurocasters are like the new cell phone, and they allow their users to control a drone, which is basically just a human-shaped robot. So you can just sit in your chair all the time and do nothing while your robot walks around and, I don't know, does the dishes and shit. It would make it so your body wouldn't have to work as hard, but you still need to use a lot of mind power, so I don't think it would help things like depression. This Neurocaster might do more, but the movie doesn't go into much detail about them. Okay, so even the homeless have these headsets, so I'm like, they just must be giving them out to people.
I'm going to give a random homeless guy
the Neurocaster.
And they're like plugged into the wall. It's very important that every single person on Earth be plugged into this thing. Screw the cost that it would take to make like billions of these fucking things and just hand them out to every single person imaginable. The drones would be helpful for people with disabilities, but ironically, for everybody else, they would cause physical deterioration. But then again, the original story does show a lot of people walking around with these things on, so they must be able to see what's in front of them somehow. Either that or they're running into walls and tripping constantly. Kind of reminds me of that silly scene from Ready Player One. Remember when all those people were running down the street with their VR headsets on?
The technology that won the war is now changing the way we live our lives.
What the hell? That thing must weigh like 1,000 pounds. Look how big that VR headset is. They're making sunglasses with cameras and shit on them now, just because, you know, that's where the future is headed. You want to go smaller, not bigger, right?
Oh.
Because nobody wants to walk around with these massive things on their head, right? That's one of the main reasons I don't play VR very often, is because you can't play them for longer than like an hour without getting queasy or generally uncomfortable. you know, your neck starts to hurt. It kind of gives you a headache. But yeah, let's make one that's like 3 times as large as as what people wear in reality here. I should add that the Neurocasters in the book also have that ridiculous shape with the huge bill. But I have to admit, while reading the book, they kind of grew on me because everybody is wearing these things. If they were just regular VR headsets, they wouldn't be as like weird and creepy looking. But when you have like a ton of people on a page wearing these things and they're just standing around like zombies, it gives it this like unnerving dystopic feel.
The Neurocaster network allows your mind to be in 2 places at once, work and play at the same time.
So this headset thing is like a Severance sort of thing where it splits you in half so you can experience play and work at the same time. Not sure how that works. I'm sure that wouldn't scramble up your brains at all. Very realistic, I love it. When the movie introduces us to Michelle's prodigy little brother, Christopher, we're supposed to believe that he's this genius, you know? He's smarter than Einstein.
Einstein took that test, became Einstein, and they stole his brain.
That was awkward. But there's very little that he says that would convince us of his God-given intellect. We're just supposed to believe that he's like this 1 in a trillion super powerhouse in his brain, you know?
Stuck, aren't you? No, I'm done.
There's this stereotypical like evil billionaire guy. His name is Ethan Skate, which is an awful name for an evil billionaire. That's a name you give a character in like Tony Hawk Pro Skater. He's the founder of the Evil Corporation Center. They needed an insane amount of computing power for their Neurocasters to work. And apparently they found the solution in the mind of Christopher. So they literally used the mind of this child to power the network of these Neurocasters. Like how they do this, it makes no sense. Like, what the fuck ever, man. Wow, those buildings are very ugly. And there's one directly next to the Eiffel Tower. Kind of an eyesore.
You need an after-school activity. Child Services says they'll pay extra.
Why doesn't Ted tell me himself?
Because my frontal cortex is in Vegas with Cindy Crawford.
This is kind of confusing. It separates your consciousness into 2 parts, and these 2 versions of you are like stored in a robot that you can control. I mean, I know there's some people out there that are extremely good multitaskers.
You never know when you'll need a free hand.
But this is a little bit extreme. I know that the brain is split into 2 hemispheres, so maybe that's where they got their logic from. Millie Bobby Brown's character doesn't like the headsets. She wants to live in reality. Very important to her.
She said, put on your caster. Oh, sorry, I have a condition where I can only live in reality.
Michelle is a girl filled with rage in the book. At one point, she recalls that she smashed the shit out of her stepmother's face. Later, when Michelle is driving along with Skip, she fantasizes about this massive cylindrical installation falling from its foundation, so it'll roll down a mountain, destroying all the homes and families beneath. She's a little unhinged in the book.
Robot attack!
And she also has this congenital neurological condition that prevents her from using Neurocasters. Basically, it makes one of her pupils larger than the other, so when she tries to use it, all she sees is black.
Neurocasters are mandatory in grades 9 and above. Maybe I should have a talk with your mom?
Turn the page.
Oh.
This is the worst!
A lot of kids here lost family in the war.
It wasn't from the bots. Our car hit a deer.
So Chris is taken by Center, and his superbrain is used by them as their central server or proxy for all the drone activity. But in order for them to use these drones for their nefarious purposes through him, they would need to somehow shut down or disable his personal and moral biases. Right? But how do you do that while still utilizing his brain power? And if they did do that, like if they found a way to like utilize his brain processing power without like him thinking about anything somehow, then how come part of his subconscious was able to control the kid Cosmobot? And you know, his memories of his sister were intact. He remembered his past life, which included his biases. The movie doesn't care to explain any of that. They just give us this like weird scene in a shed at the end of the movie that's supposed to like show us the little world that he inhabits.
Hello?
This part kind of has like the same feel as E.T. Put out some Reese's Pieces for it. No, it's spooky. This kind of feels like Fallout mixed with like Five Nights at Freddy's. Like the whole robot thing, how they're like kind of creepy, but childish.
You're my special friend.
That's me.
put it for...
Is that a bot?
This guy thinks he can fight a robot. He probably hasn't stood up in like 3 months.
Go to the bathroom!
Diana.
You're shitting yourself!
I want to report a robot attack!
God damn, that was kind of severe. Okay, so I'm gathering she doesn't like this Ted guy very much. Because you just fucking tased him. Also, I found this kind of weird. In the book, the character Ted lactates. Yes, you heard that right. Ted tried to explain why so many of his t-shirts and shirts were stained across the chest. He says, "It's not dangerous at all. It can happen to some people, and is completely normal and harmless. Lactation is more common among men than you would think. It's called galactorrhea, and is perfectly harmless. All the washing is a pain though." And when I leaned across the desk, I noticed a small drop materializing on the desktop. Then one landed on my arm. I thought it was saliva at first, that Ted had accidentally blown a few drops of saliva from his mouth. But then I saw something running down his stomach and chest. A white milky fluid that flowed in little silent squirts from his trembling nipples. I'm not too sure what that's about, but yeah, I thought I should include it in this video. I'm disappointed that that wasn't added in the movie. What the hell, Russo bros? Where the hell's my lactating Ted? You can't trust anybody to make a good adaptation these days.
Hey, that's my mother's car!
So not only does she tase the guy, she steals his car. What is she thinking? Like, where is she going? And with this random robot that she knows nothing about, granted the robot does have a very cute face. I mean, look at that smile. Kind of looks like something you would find out of like Bendy and the Ink Machine. I like his little hairdo. It's very cute. His little wet poop hairdo.
You died, and now you're here. Are you a robot now?
Yep, that must be my dead relative. Ah!
Doctor.
Gotta get that Dr. Pepper money.
Your brother Christopher, he passed this morning.
Where is he?
Believe in yourself.
That's the middle of the exclusion zone. This stuff is from the exclusion zone. Whoever owns this P.O. box knows how to get in and out.
That was in the trunk of Ted's car. What are the odds of that being in that guy's trunk? Like, what the hell? Along Michelle's journey to locate her brother, she comes across Chris Pratt's character, Keats, along with his little robot buddy. So Michelle and her little robot pal decide to catch a ride with Chris Pratt and his deadly robot friend, who they watched fry another robot. Very, very smart. And not only that, they watched this guy sell a loaded gun to someone. And Michelle had a smile on her face too. Like, she was super excited to see this guy, to take advantage of this ride to wherever she needs to go. It's pretty wild that they were able to get inside this truck without them noticing, but whatever. I also love Chris Pratt's hairdo. It's very surfer boy.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Hair!
Touch my hair and I'll kill you.
That was rude. He wanted to give him a free haircut. And Chris Pratt's like, touching your fucking dead. He's very protective of his surfer locks.
Much later.
That poor hair cutting robot just wants to cut some hair. It's so desperate. It's like, hair, please? And he's like, nope.
Much later.
Freaking robot guilt tripped me into...
He finally got his haircut. No way. Good job. They decide to help Michelle on her quest, and then eventually also decide to help her fight against Skate and Center. The justification for their actions isn't believable at all. Keats has no friends aside from this robot buddy that he keeps around. They sell a bunch of contraband for a living, and then after running into this young girl and the marshal, or Colonel Bradbury. I'm Ethan Bradbury! I'm Ethan Bradbury! 1% of viewers understood that reference. Keats just kind of accepts this new role as her travel companion. She convinces them to help her way too fast.
No way out! We live here now. Congratulations, kid.
If that doctor did have a way in here, he probably has a way out.
Unlikely.
Which is
5 minutes later.
Wow. Tabletop mountain, huh?
Throughout the entire book, Michelle only travels with the robot. It's a pretty lonely journey for her, and this was done on purpose, you know, to make her feel secluded from, you know, the rest of the world. She's very much supposed to be by herself. I know she's technically with this kid Cosmo drone, but it really just follows her around. It doesn't talk or anything. It's just like this silent companion. It's a lonely journey for her. Of course, they had to Marvelize the movie, right? Put Chris Pratt in there for some random reason and give him a robot buddy too.
The freaking fridge died. Did you unplug this and take my extension cord to your charging station?
No.
Chris Pratt and this robot have been arguing for like the last 5 minutes. And they're arguing about like an extension cord or some shit. I hate this. It gives the story that's otherwise very serious and dour a sort of like goofy and silly energy, and it's so weird. If you're a fan of the book, then you can expect very little similar here. I was kind of flabbergasted when I finished the book because I read the book after watching the movie, and I was like, what? These are not the same. This is not the same thing.
Oh boy.
Take the bot with you.
It's not a bot, it's my brother. It's not a bot, it's my brother.
Oh my god, it's him. The man who's chosen for every single villain nowadays.
I was acting.
He's trying to track down Michelle and bring back the Cosmobot.
I'm stunned that you would think I'm harboring robots. In fact, I'm shocked.
Wait, how did the Juan Carlo bot? Wait. Earlier in the movie, Chris Pratt's character said, "I'm shocked," and it's like a code word, right?
I'm shocked.
How did the Juan Carlo bot know about the whole "I'm shocked" code word? Maybe he just has really good reflexes or something. How did he know that was gonna happen? Why is he shooting this drone with a revolver like it's gonna do something? Robot fight, robot fight. There are instances throughout the movie where the Marshal drops his weapon, but whenever he drops his weapon, the heroes never try to, you know, pick it up and use it against the drone. Pick it up. It wouldn't be like they're killing someone, they're just shooting a robot that's controlled by a human, like it's not even a sentient robot. I don't know. They always just run away and hope that the Marshal will just give up. Great plan, guys. There's a part when they enter this big area full of these gigantic mechanical ducks. In the book, it stated that these ducks made up a shooting range that has since been abandoned. How weird is it that they built these gigantic ducks as a shooting range? Kinda random. What do they have against rubber duckies? Like.
And one of my favorite memories with her is us sitting in this tub, her playing with rubber ducks, as I washed her, and then when we got out, I took her to bed.
The hell is that?
I've got a body size for every job.
I like this Herm robot. He's pretty cute. He's like those little eggs, you know? The little one goes into the big one, and it goes into a bigger one. He's got all sorts of body sizes depending on like the necessity of the robot. He's just got them stored in different places, I suppose. And conveniently, this massive one was just sitting in this big warehouse.
How'd you two meet?
We actually met in the war.
Close my eyes, get ready to die, and instead he just lifts me up, carries me out. And I try to tell him, hey, this guy saved my life. And they opened fire anyway. Tried to kill us both, so we ran.
I'm sorry. Chris Pratt telling this war story is not believable at all. I'm not saying Chris Pratt is a terrible actor. I think he's pretty great in the Guardians movies, but his acting style kind of complemented that character. He kind of has this like natural goofiness about him, but in movies like this, I don't know. With a good director, I think it's possible to get a great emotional performance out of him, but in this case, it's not great.
It's good to see you like this, Mama.
Why wouldn't I be?
No reason.
Such a funny boy.
What the fuck? So Stanley Tucci has like the super headset. It's gray, not yellow. So that's how you know. It's like the ultimate version, but apparently it's not that great.
Complete dog shit.
Skate didn't know that Christopher's consciousness was loose until his headset glitched out while he was having dinner with his AI mom. Like his whole system was days from collapse, and he somehow had no idea until then.
My company collapses on Saturday.
Friday, more likely. Sure.
Not the worst place in the world to hide.
Look at that goofy ass dude. Oh my god. So this goofy ass robot is using a trebuchet that shoots fridges at them. Oh my god, there's multiple of them. What the hell? Oh, this one's got... Whoa. Who's that guy? That was a very fancy split. I like the robots in this movie. That's my one compliment.
Are you not amazed?
They're pretty funny. Oh, that's cool. Little ice cream bot, phone bot, green head guy. Oh my god, the donut bot looks evil. Why? Why is the donut bot like this fucking evil looking? Oh my god. This is a gigantic bot too. And the peanut bus. I wonder who's in the peanut bus.
A leader so towering, Mr.
So your brother has no idea where his actual human body is? Why in the hell would Center steal a little boy?
Chris said the doctor that took him would be here at tabletop.
There was a doctor here.
Here we go.
Michelle is so incredibly lucky in the film that it comes across kind of contrived. She only knows where to find Keats because Ted, whose car she stole, bought some things from him and kept these things in his trunk instead of bringing them into his house for some reason. And that reason is plot convenience. Later, when they get stuck in the exclusion zone, Keats says there's no way out. But conveniently, the doctor they're looking for knows exactly how to get out of there. They get attacked, and even more conveniently, they end up somewhere that the doctor has been before, and he left a letter behind for them. Stricken with guilt, Dr. Amherst opened a little digital doorway for Christopher's mind to escape and take over a drone. Dr. Amherst implanted the location of the friendly bots in Christopher's mind, somehow, whatever, so that when he takes over a drone, he can go there and have a little robot family of his own.
Believe in yourself.
That's the middle of the exclusion zone.
You told him to head to Blue Sky.
I heard about what you were building. I wanted him to find a family.
He already had a family!
She's right, you know.
The doctor completely overlooked several things. The first being, it's in the exclusion zone, which is cut off from the rest of the world by a massive wall that spans miles.
You see that wall? If you follow it for about 10 years, you'll end up right back here. No way out.
And the exclusion zone is filled with killer robots, and also the fact that the friendly robots shoot on sight.
You told him to head to Blue Sky. Why in the hell?
The odds of this message ending up with Christopher are so insanely low.
Dr. Amherst gave me that letter, and he said to deliver it to Christopher if he ever showed up.
Man, this movie is so irritating. I completely agree, Couch Elvis. There's barely any tension because there's a convenient answer for literally every single one of their problems, except for the major one at the very end.
Merry Christmas!
Where have you been?
There's trouble on the move.
I missed you, dude.
Always remember, Kid Cosmo's your pal.
I missed you too.
I feel like this movie would be more impactful if they actually showed the brother being taken in the beginning of the movie somewhere, so we know what she lost. And then when the bot shows up, she can kind of like make that connection and it's a little bit more clear. That way the emotional moments don't take so long to like hit, I guess. Also, Christopher is Michelle's half-brother. When they were younger, their mother died. And when this happened, social services took Christopher away and they sent her to live with her grandfather. Also, when they were younger, Christopher took a liking to the character Kid Cosmo, and Michelle knew about this. So when the Kid Cosmo drone showed up at her house, it was pretty clear to her who was controlling it.
Here's a fella you're gonna want to meet.
This baseball robot has seen better days.
Is he gonna fall asleep in the middle of combat? I feel as though that might be a liability.
Shut the fuck up.
The Juan Carlo bot is onto them. Uh-oh. They're taking the peanut bus to Scav country, where there's a bunch of evildoers, I suppose. And that's why they need their busted ass baseball bat bot so you can beat them all to death or something. I don't know.
Dr. Amherst said he was at 2201 Pinnacle Peak. Then this is where he is.
Uh-oh. Sid's toys from Toy Story are here to play. That's literally what this is right now. Oh my god.
I actually like this song.
Scavs, or the evil robots, have a weakness, and it's funky pop music. And bright lights.
You son of a bitch.
All right, so they found the doctor hidden within this building.
Where is my brother? Seattle. Center's Island campus. After your accident, a center imaging machine alerted us to Christopher. He was exactly what we needed. We were losing the war.
Wait a minute. So they had this car accident. They put Christopher into an MRI machine, scanned his brain. They're like, oh my God, this kid has a super brain. We gotta take advantage of that. So they kidnapped the kid, or this doctor, I don't know, told this rich guy about it and they kidnapped the kid and used him to create technology or something to help them win the war against the robots. Well, that's stupid as hell. Dr. Amherst explains to Michelle that after their car accident and after scanning Christopher's brain with a center MRI machine, they found out he had a super brain, whatever that means, and it would be perfect to plug into a computer. Okay. Christopher was in such bad shape after this car accident that he would have died in the hospital. Dr. Amherst says this to Michelle.
If we didn't do what we did, Christopher would have died in that hospital. We saved his life.
Center miraculously saved his life by what? Hooking him up to this network? By making his brain work 1 billion times harder than it ever has before? By forcing it to link billions of neurocasters with billions of drones? That saved his life? What? His brain was just that valuable, dude. So after this car accident that almost killed him, and probably turned his brain into scrambled eggs in the process, now he's useful to Center.
Christopher was comatose. He was like a gift from God.
That makes sense. Have them find out about his intellect some other way, like be it through his schoolwork or something else, and have them kidnap him or something. They can then scan his brain and find out, oh my God, he's perfect. But no, let's put the kid in a car accident. Let's whip his brain around like crazy. Let's smash him up a fuck ton so he's almost dead, and then he'll be useful to them. Like, where is the logic? In attempting to write an ethical and rational Dr. Amherst character, they threw an illogical monkey wrench into their plot. Like, if the kid was gonna die anyway, and they could use him to end the war, why the hell did they keep it a secret from Michelle and the rest of his extended family? Just ask them. Send them some money. Odds are they'd be okay with them using his vegetative body if it would mean ending a fucking war and saving countless lives? Like, what?
Don't tell me about the damn war and gifts from God.
If he was comatose, if he was practically brain dead, then how could they just use his brain anyway? Like, what? That makes sense. What the hell, dude?
I told Skate we had to disconnect him. Skate threatened to kill me. So before I ran, I established a tiny connection between Chris and the outside network. Oh, not this asshole again.
I prefer the term autocrat.
I never thought I would ever see a Mr. Peanut robot fight against a Giancarlo Esposito bot. Never say never, I guess.
Drop your weapon. Hand over the bot.
I don't really take orders anymore.
Failure to comply.
Oh my God. This baseball bot is so funny.
You broke the treaty, Mr. Peanut.
This is so silly. No, Mr. Peanut! No, he took his hat off.
This is your fault.
Uh-oh, he just made Mr. Peanut salty. Ha! Now he's super Mr. Peanut.
You take Christopher and run. Got it?
I don't really feel bad for this doctor who's sacrificing himself for
Leave him alone.
Michelle and Christopher. It's so dumb that there's a Dr. Amherst desktop bot. It's the PC version of him that knows everything that he knows.
He knows what I know.
So that his silly death will have 0 consequences to the plot.
If you want him, you'll have to kill me.
Holy shit.
God damn it, Skate.
Just blasted his ass, damn. Oh no, the creepy kidnapper is dead. It's very sad. Oh my God, they're stealing the Cosmobot. Oh no, all hope is lost. No!
Go home, Miss Green. Go home.
All right, so Giancarlo Bot decided it's time to defend Michelle because Mr. Skate is a psycho and killed the doctor. He doesn't want to work for him anymore because he realized how evil he was. Crusty ass Mr. Peanut needs some lotion. Oh no, Cosmobot's in handcuffs. Not that he was very effective at fighting throughout the movie anyway. Most he did was shoot things with a really lame slingshot. Like the most ineffective slingshot known to man is what he was using throughout the movie.
Welcome back, Christopher.
Oh my God. They got Christopher in the Mr. House chamber thing from Fallout New Vegas. The final showdown of the movie pits the benevolent robots, along with Michelle and Keats, against Skate, the Marshal, and the evil robots.
They are gone.
Okay, so these guys didn't notice a computer that just happened to be sitting there in their office building that they never used before, and they were just suddenly there. Like, how'd they get in there?
All these goofy ass robots fighting these boring drones.
This revolutionary battle scene between the downtrodden robots and the evil center drones is so silly. Like, you have combat drones versus what? A USPS robot, a radio robot, a soda machine robot, a honey dispenser robot, a hairdresser robot, a popcorn dispenser robot. I guess this football bot isn't entirely useless, and the baseball guy can at least shoot baseballs and swing a bat. But like, in no world are they winning this fight. Like, what the hell is Mr. Peanut gonna do? I know that this is supposed to be like a noble sacrifice moment, right? Like, all these robots that clearly can't fight are fighting anyway in order to divert attention away from Michelle. Even with the giant cat robot that was in the book, by the way, and Chris Pratt's bot buddy, all of the good guy bots would be dead in under like 2 minutes. Like, there was already a war against robots where the robots lost because of Center and Ethan Skate. They ended this 2-year war in weeks.
For 2 years, humanity fought until Ethan Skate stepped in. And within weeks, the war was over.
Center should have access to electromagnetic guns that put down robots in one shot. Why are none of the drones shooting the baseball bot here? He's beating the shit out of one of the drones right in front of them.
We might actually win this thing!
Keats's little robot buddy dies. It tries to build up into this like super emotional moment.
What am I supposed to do without you, huh? What am I gonna do without my best friend?
Because, you know, we've kind of grown to like this little robot guy. I mean, big robot guy. Just kidding, he's a little robot guy. The movie bamboozles us with a very tiny robot that's inside this robot's head.
Hey, Beefcake, you miss me?
I like to imagine that
they just continually get smaller and smaller.
Until they're like this big.
The only way to reach your brother is from inside.
No, so she's got to go in there via the headset thing to see her brother and I guess disconnect him that way. Uh-oh, the evil skate bot is now about to be deployed, whatever that is.
I'm afraid you're on private property.
Oh, that's fucked up. He wasn't hurting anybody, he was just playing some tunes. That's how you know that this skate guy is really evil. No, the big kitty bot. Get him, Mr. Peanut. This is so silly.
Freedom's worth any cost.
Even dying?
We'd have to be alive to die.
Checkmate. We'd have to be alive to die.
Skates on level 4.
Ooh.
Weapons development.
Why are you telling me this?
I finally met someone less human than a robot.
Mr. Peanut, of all characters, is the one to defeat Skate. He's like this de facto leader of the robots. He's clearly used as like the robot version of Abraham Lincoln. He's even got like the top hat. Out of all the characters I vibe with, Mr. Peanut, I vibed with the most. I think that's probably because I just enjoy planters. Like, I like myself a salty peanut every once in a while. You know what I mean? Michelle eventually finds her brother hooked up to this machine, and she has to make an impossible choice. She has to either unplug and kill him, or allow him to live, which would mean he would suffer another like 100 years of torture or something. And if not Center, something or someone would continue to use him until he's dead. The movie leaves his death ambiguous. They hint that his consciousness lives on in the Kid Cosmo robot.
In the book, at the very end, Michelle finds Christopher's emaciated body at 2139 Mill Road. He's found alone in a bed with the Neurocaster on. Michelle picks him up and brings him to the car, noting that the heaviest thing about him was the Neurocaster. They then drive to the ocean. There's a kayak strapped to the top of the vehicle, and the ending is left ambiguous. All we know is that the Kid Cosmo drone is left behind along with the Neurocaster. So we know that Michelle took it off of Christopher. Whether that led to his death or not, we don't know. They do show an agent following Michelle. We never learn exactly why he's following her. The agent ends up getting killed by this giant, creepy, slumbering drone. It is inferred that Christopher is valuable for some reason, but nothing is ever explicitly told to the reader.
Ethan Skate is arrested. The giant center butt plug looking buildings around the world are shut down. Practically everyone's way of living is all but gone now. This is like someone shutting down the entire internet out of nowhere. But it seems like everyone is celebrating this, because Ethan Skate was like this weirdo that took advantage of a little kid and used his mind to create this entire thing.
You had me hunt a boy.
How shall I put this? Who cares?
Based.
If this were the real world, there would be a massive outcry to get the Neurocasters up and working again. A huge percentage of people wouldn't give a shit about Christopher. That might sound bad, but it's true, okay? Like, Michelle makes this little YouTube video at the end of the movie explaining her side, and we're just supposed to sit back and accept that the world at large is like, you know what, Michelle? You're right. Robots are pretty chill, dude. I don't care if you just shut down this entire network that I used every day, constantly. If there's one thing I know about people, they like comfort and they don't like change. So this huge forced alteration of people's lifestyles across the world wouldn't be taken in kind, I don't think. Imagine all the people that invested in Center only for the company to come crashing down. All the jobs that people would have lost, all the handicapped people that used it, you know, for the drones that would be able to walk around and, you know, so they could exist like a normal person could. The military that used it, you know, people probably used it for entertainment. This is not a happy ending, is what I'm trying to say. You know, it would throw the world into chaos.
I concur, Office Elvis. Additionally, it's stated in the book that some people couldn't survive more than a couple hours without their Neurocasters on. So hilariously, at the end of the movie, Michelle disconnects her brother without thinking about what might happen to all the people that are hooked up to these things. You know what I mean? Michelle is basically a terrorist. Yeah, little innocent Millie Bobby Brown. The movie tries to end on like this happy note, right? Like, oh, we're changing the world. Robots have claimed their equality and everybody has been disconnected from these Neurocasters. The world's great now, aside from all those millions of people that are dead. But let's just, we can think about that some other time.
They try to spin this message like, when you're using the Neurocasters, you're not actually living. Go out and touch some grass, dude. She practically says that at the end of the movie.
It can only happen out here, in the real world.
Not on my watch, Michelle. Reddit will hear about this.
After reading it, I do like the book. I love the illustrations, and it's a heartwarming story about long-lost siblings reuniting in a war-torn cyber dystopia, featuring lactating Ted.
Chris Pratt had said that reading the screenplay for the movie moved him to tears. I have a hard time believing that.
I was moved to tears reading it, and you'll when you get to see the movie, you'll see, I got no friends now,
It's sensational.
Virtually no puppets and/or animatronics were used to bring the extensive robot cast to life, which is insane. One of the only robots used that was an actual, like, physical thing in the movie was for Kid Cosmo. Joe Russo has gone on record to say that using CGI instead was more cost-effective, which is kind of baffling considering the obnoxious $320 million budget. Yeah, I don't think that's in our budget, dude. I need at least 100 of that to go to me, so. Building chemistry with the human actors as well as bringing humanity to the robots themselves was another reason they gave, saying, it's really important for live action actors to have other actors to work off of. We had an incredible troupe of mocap actors who are trained to move like the robots, say their lines, and create that chemistry with Chris Pratt and Millie Bobby Brown. The other half of the directing duo of brothers Anthony added, our movie explores the idea that you can find humanity in technology, and you can find inhumanity in humans. So it was very important to us to bring a strong human texture to the robots. I don't know if we could have achieved that through animatronics. You know there's a way to do both, right? Take Jar Jar Binks, for example. The dude wore like a Jar Jar Binks head. He doesn't look anything like he does in the actual movies, but he still adds that humanity to the character.
The guy we got has got a great walk and everything.
You could have done that with the robots. Just put someone in a Mr. Peanut suit. And then use CGI over him, you know what I mean? Like, instead they just kind of like put dots on people. Maybe they had him hold like a planter's bag.
It is wild to me that the Russos thought that this book would make a good action blockbuster. The book is closer in tone to something like Cormac McCarthy's The Road, while this movie has like Shazam energy.
Why would you say that?
Like they MCUified this story and made it 1,000 times worse. They invented so many random characters and events that sapped all the somberness and earnestness out of the original story. And they did this in favor of a colorful, goofy, stereotypical take down the evil corporate rich guy story. To be fair, the story they're adapting is short, so they had to embellish a little bit and they had to create more stuff, you know? But maybe they created a little bit too much. Maybe they had a little bit too much freedom. It's clear to me that they wanted to give this sad story a happy outlook at the end. I understand that they wanted to introduce some hope to this depressing world. But in trying to do so, they answered questions that didn't need answering, and introduced a ton of new, unanswered questions that ultimately make it feel like an inauthentic and lazy mess.
Fans of the source material became concerned that the film would stray too far from the novel after the first images of the film were released in October of 2024. They were proven correct when the teaser trailer premiered at New York Comic Con a few weeks later, which sampled a film devoid of the visual style and moody, minimalistic tone of the source material, in favor of generic action and Marvel-esque quips.
Why do you have so many keys? Come on, come on, come on!
I'm a very important man.
Should we just run at this point?
The drastic changes were further confirmed by the Russos, who explained that they were inspired by the illustrated novel's tone, and, using some of his characters, created a completely original story.
I think what's interesting about all the lead characters in the movie is that they all have some trauma in their lives that they're running from.
They likened it to the process of adapting their Marvel films, so they clearly used the same techniques that they would have used for a Marvel film for this one, and it didn't go over very well. The message of this film is very elementary. Like, this little robot that looks like a peanut, he's really nice, while the evil corporate guy, he's mean. Which one do you like more, huh? What does that say about humans? Huh? Robot good, actually, huh? Human bad, actually, huh? It's just silly.
I'm sad to say that Mr. Peanut could not save this movie, but maybe lactating Ted could. So it's just a shame that his wet nips weren't included. Back to you, Office Elvis.
Let me know what you guys thought of this movie in the comment section down below.
Dog shit!
And I'll see you in the next one. See ya!